Hey, so for anybody watching this video, we are going to be discussing Genie parameters and talking about how we use it to grow our retail arbitrage businesses. My name is Paul Saucier, and this is Jake Capps.
Hello.
Jake runs a retail arbitrage team as well as myself, and so we are the ones that also post a lot of the deals in this group. So we're going to talk about one, how we're finding those deals, and how we're going about finding them quickly. So this scanning app called Genie was created by a friend of ours named John Paul Jones. And he made this with the idea of expediting the sourcing process and doing that with a team in mind. So if you have some extra capital, let's say you have $500 that you just don't have the time to go out and spend, well, you can pay somebody a profit share percentage, or you can pay them just a flat fee, an hourly rate, or based off of what they spend. And send them to the stores that you go to and just say, hey, here, take this app. You can add them as a team member, and they can scan while you're doing other tasks. So we've really used this to grow our businesses dramatically in a fast way, because you don't have to train somebody as much as you would without this app. So if you're currently using the Amazon Seller app or Scoutify, you know that you're going to have to teach somebody really how to read Kiva charts in depth, how to understand sales rank in depth, whereas Genie cuts a lot of that out. I mean, you still want them to learn that eventually, but I was taking people into stores and showing them how to scan in 2 hours, 3 hours, and then kind of setting them on their way, and then teaching them the more advanced techniques, if you want to call it that, later on. So Jake, would you say that's your same experience?
Yeah, the only thing I would add to that is you're still going to have to give them limited user permissions through your Amazon account, and that's access to that app, because they are going to have to hop over there to make sure an item's not restricted, because you're not going to see that directly in the Genie app. But yeah, basically, like Paul described, we like the simplicity of this app. It takes a lot of the thinking out of it, and it also, in a lot of ways, will challenge you to think more about what you're buying too, in a good way, if you decide to go outside of the parameters that you set up. Then you have to
Yes.
make active decisions. So it'll make you a better shopper in a lot of ways also.
Absolutely. So whether you have a team right now or it's just you, this is still definitely an app, I think, for you to use. And so we're going to go ahead and I'm going to show you the back end of Genie, kind of like there's a back end to Amazon Seller Central. We have this. Yeah, we're going to go through how to set it up, and all that. So whenever you first purchase Genie, and really the website to go to is scangenieapp.com. And there's going to be two different options for you to purchase. There's going to be the Pro version, and there is going to be the basic version. So the Pro version has these two additional features: automatic title search when no UPC match is found, and then the third-party match technology. I can tell you right now, if you're doing apparel or shoes, or even toys, things like that, it will find a lot of items when the UPC doesn't match. Oftentimes these have one seller, two sellers, and it's products that you wouldn't typically find with the Amazon Seller app, or other scanning apps. So whenever I would see that little tag come up, obviously you have to make sure that the product matches, the photo matches the product that's in your hand, in those scenarios, but it does definitely help. So you get a 7-day free trial for either one. Definitely suggest trying out this one that's $40 a month, and see how much faster you'll be able to scan. So those are your options. When this is the Pro version that we're going to be looking at. So you're going to have a team name that you're going to set up. You're going to get a team key and a team member key. And then you can apply these purchase settings across the board to every category. So for us, we don't want to go below a $6 minimum profit. Our outbound shipping rate averages around 35 cents. If you wanted to raise that up to 50 cents a pound, you could. Jake, do you know what your settings are at for that?
We're actually exactly the same there. We used to be, I think, at a $4 minimum profit, but we raised it to $6 to kind of push up our average sales price per product.
Great. And so there's the outbound shipping rate. The new MSRP discount, if you have a question about what these are, you can just hover over the question mark. So it says if no new offers are available, but in MSRP list price is available, this percentage is multiplied times the MSRP price. So it's 90% less that MSRP price. And so that's if there are no new offers currently on there, and then a used discount offer. So these don't really come into play too much, but they are helpful to have in there. And then if you refuse to compete with listings that Amazon is on, then you can hit this little button right here and reject it if it's sold by Amazon. We do compete with Amazon because our parameters are such that if we have to adjust our price point, we can beat Amazon's price and still win the buy box. Jake, is yours checked on there?
Actually, it wasn't. It currently is, and that's more. We're more concerned about it with a pair. You can actually individualize it per category.
Okay.
I believe because this is just a blanket. We typically have more concern when they have clothing and apparel. We don't like to compete with them on, but in other categories we do. But even if it's rejected, sometimes we look past that when using the app. But it is kind of like you said, it's kind of that's how you want to shop or compete. But yeah, our parameters are also set up in a way that we should be able to beat them on price if we needed to get our money back on the item.
Right. So we have been having this off for a long time, and yeah, there's certain categories that Amazon will share the buy box in, like arts, crafts, and sewing. They share that all the time.
A lot of time.
Yeah. So, but like sports and outdoors, my experience has been that they don't really share that too often. So let's go into the team settings. Actually, I'm sorry, we're in the team settings. I'm sorry, team members. So when you want to add a team member, you'll just come in here and hit add team member. Type in their name, first name, last name. The profit share percentage, this is if you are paying them a profit percentage. We personally don't use this, although my shoppers do get a profit share percentage. They get it on the back end, not on the front end. So the item has to sell. So I didn't really, it can be, I guess, a little ambiguous or tricky if they were looking at this and saying, oh, well, then I should be getting this profit share percentage. Well, what if the price tanks, or what if the price goes up? So that's why we keep that out of there. But you can adjust that for each shopper if you wanted to. Time zone, and then the standard view. So the product view, we keep all of ours at standard, and we've never done limited. But the standard view or the limited view, do you know what it hides, Jake?
No, I don't.
I think it hides the profit.
Is it profit and is it the team too? Because I know when you're doing standard view, you can see what other team members are scanning.
Yes. So it might be sharing. It might be taking that away as well. But so in all honesty, I wouldn't want to hire somebody that I was super scared about. If you're giving them your money, but you can't trust them to see other things, you might not want to have them on your team.
Right, or to see the profit potential in a product they're buying.
Right. So you definitely want to trust that shopper for sure. And then you just hit save, and that would be it.
It'll issue them their own individual member key, and everyone has the same team key, obviously, because it's the same team.
Right. So you could, there's a lot of people, all of these shoppers on here I don't necessarily use or utilize, but I did at one point where they were interested in shopping for me. So it's like, yeah, I'll throw the app on your phone, let you get set up. And what you'll find is some people absolutely love to shop. Some people hate it. And people that thought they would love it are terrible at it. So you can just come over here and go delete, and they will no longer shop for you. So you can add and take away team members at your will. The most important thing in here are the recommendation settings. So these are all the current categories that I have in my Genie parameters. So what does that look like on the inside? So let's look at apparel. So the way that the parameters are set, so for apparel, if I scan something that's ranked 20,000 and below, it needs to yield at least a 70% ROI for me to buy it. So Genie will find an item that's ranked 20,000 and below whenever I scan it. And it'll say, in order to get 70% return on your investment, you need to buy this product for X amount. You then look at the sticker price of the product, and if it matches or is above below. My brain's turning off. Which one is it, Jake? If it's above?
If it's below the 20,000 and above the 70%, or is that what you're asking? The greater? For instance, if you're looking at something, we'll just say that's 20, you're going to sell it for $20 and you probably are going to yield 15 net on that.
Yeah. So if it says to buy it at $7, you can buy it anywhere from $7 and less.
Right.
Then you can. Yeah, my brain got it jumbled up in there. We're going to show you the app on the phone here in just a minute. It'll make a lot more sense instead of me jumbling over words.
Now we do have the minimum profit set up at $6. So if it is not going to yield $6 or more dollars, it's going to say minimum profit cannot be met.
Right.
Again, at times we'll go outside of those basic parameters that we have set up for ourselves if there's a reason to. But if we're going to go outside those parameters, we like having Genie to make it's almost like a barrier. It's like you can cross this yellow line if you want and take more risk, but you're taking more risk if you go past, if you basically go through the green. The Genie can give you a green light or a red light, basically. And if you decide to go on red, you're taking more of a risk.
So you know that you're going outside of that. So if you're limited on funds and you're saying, hey, I want at least 100% ROI or higher, well, when you're going outside of that very quickly. So it's like you can just scan, and until you see that little green bar that says buy at whatever price, you're not going to even look.
Right.
So whenever you are initially setting this up, you're going to come down here to the bottom and click select category. So these are all categories that I currently don't have added in. These are categories we're just not shopping in. But if I wanted to add the category of jewelry, I would select add category, and then I would add a tier. And so you can do the tiers in two ways. You can do it in rank or in percentage. The percentage of every category is going to change. So you can go with rank. And where we grabbed our parameters are from a mix of Jungle Scout data and experience. So you can do the same thing. So if you really wanted to come up with your own parameters, you could go to junglescout.com/estimator. This is a free app. And so you could then come into these categories and start playing with numbers. So like this is clothing, shoes, and jewelry. So that category has actually been merged. So if we type in let's say 20,000, you can figure out how many units are moving a month of that. So our parameters have been based on a 30-day sell-through rate back here. So if we wanted to add that in, then we could do our further research and see, okay, how many units need to be moving a month in order for us to sell this in 30 days.
Right.
Do you want to add anything to that?
Obviously there's a lot of room to play in there and a lot of other factors because
number of sellers and
number of sellers, how much competition there is. If you're competing with Amazon, how are you really gonna, So obviously when you set up your parameters, you got to set up something that you feel comfortable with. And so some of it's going to have to be experience. Obviously, I will say these parameters, I'm not exactly sure on Paul's. They look somewhat similar to ours. Um, and we actually posted a sheet, an Excel that was directly from my parameters into the Facebook group. And you can see how we have it set up. And I know ours is very tight. Um, and I'm not saying that in a way to say that just go with this and you'll know it's tight. But we're shooting for a 30 to 45 day sell throughs to help with cash flow. We want to get that money back that we spent as quick as possible so we can go respend it. Um, so I set up the parameters in our system. It's somewhat harder to shop. I mean, obviously I could loosen that up and make it a little easier on my shoppers, but we'd just rather we'd rather keep it tight and just less. Obviously, the tighter it is, the less risk involved in the things that we're buying. So when I first did Genie, I will say it was a lot looser than what you see there in all those categories, almost double, because there are some of those sell-throughs and ranks that, like he just typed into Jungle Scout into the estimator that was, well, I forget what that was, jewelry or something. It was like 350 a month at 20,000. That's crazy high. That's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot of units.
So when I have shoppers going out, I try to keep people accountable. I mean, obviously, if you're doing this on your own, it's one thing. When you are doing profit share, and what this app is great for, also, the money is going to be touching more hands. So you want that money to come back, but you also want there to be room in there for everybody to make money. And the products, that at the point at which they buy them, that there's not a lot of room for, I don't want to say error, but for those prices to fluctuate so much that, it's been sitting in inventory 2-3 months and now we're taking a dive and we never got our money back, or we didn't get it back. We sat on it for 3 months.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And so having these really high sales ranks, or not, the high ROI percentages really helps in all of that wiggle room. So, starting at a minimum of 70% ROI, you may say, hey, well, look, I'm happy to take 30% ROI, so I'll start mine at a minimum of 50%. So you at least know that you have that wiggle room there to drop price and just get out of stuff if you have to. And so obviously the way this works, the lower the sales rank, the lower the ROI. So the higher the sales rank, the higher the ROI. So if this is going to be something we're going to sit on for a long time, potentially, we want to get a higher ROI. So you might be looking at this going, gee whiz, man, 300%. That's a little selfish, don't you think? Selfish is the wrong word. Ambitious. And so you may say, well, look, at 200,000, you might just be happy with 100% across the board. But again, these parameters are such that these products might move so slow that the price needs to have that dropping point. Would you add anything different in there?
I mean, some of this is also set up based on our schedule. So we do scheduled price cuts and drops on all of our products to get them out of our inventory. I mean, we have specific specialized products that we'll let sit in there longer. But the reason I want 300% at a 200,000 ROI in apparel is because if that shirt or pair of pants or whatever it is still sitting in my inventory 45 days, it's getting the price reduction. So I want that playroom to allow for those price reductions so we can still potentially make profit. Obviously, that's ideal, but at the very least, get what we paid for it out of it.
So part of me thinks that somebody watching this video might say, well, what's your price reduction? Do you start at a certain percentage to reduce?
Typically, it's going to be, well, we also use repricing software that's giving us play to begin with, which is a whole other video. But that repricing software, currently we're giving 40% play on, which is huge. We didn't used to do that. We were getting, 25%, I think, is a good starting spot.
Yeah.
Where we give 25% play. So what we would do after that 45 days or 60 days, depending on the schedule, is that product is now going to get dropped to that minimum. So 25% from the original price that got sent in, plus an additional 25% playroom on the base of that. So typically when our schedules are 25% reduction. 25, and they just keep going by 25 to the point where, we might be losing money on it by a couple bucks, but we're still getting the money back. We're not just going to sit on something and let it incur inventory fees and have that money that we'd spent, sitting there doing nothing for us.
Yeah, because the goal in our business is to churn the same dollar over as many times in a 3-month period, 1-year period, however many times you want, whatever window of time you want to look at. You want to see how many times can I churn that dollar over.
Right.
You don't want to be Walmart with 2-year, 3-year-old inventory hiding in, which could benefit you, but not them. So let's go ahead and go back to the settings, and that's really it. For every single category, and when you download this initially, there's going to be some basic categories set up. Actually, Jake, my parameters are just like this. They're tight. They were much, much looser. I want to say times this by 3. My minimum ROIs were sitting around 40%, on much higher sales ranks. And so what we experienced was slow sell-through rates and deeper losses because of price drops and seasonality and whatever else.
And tighter cash flow. You don't have the money that you want to spend because you're waiting for stuff to sell.
Absolutely. And so the other piece that we also do, and I know Jake does this, is if you bring shoppers on and your shopper goes, oh, I just found 50 of product X, and they just just throw them in their cart because they don't understand.
Genie gave them a green light. Yep.
Yeah. So we have things set where we say, hey, look, if you're going to buy 5 or more of an item, we have a running text going on. Go ahead and just text the group, and we'll all get educated on why this would or would not be a good product. If you have 50 at your disposal, maybe you should only buy 10 because it's a slow mover, or maybe you should buy all 50, but you at least have an informed decision, utilizing Keepa and things like that.
Right, because you found this great product that you're going to sell, but you're not, it still might take 6 months to sell all of them. I'd rather have them all sold in 45 days and find something new, or maybe they'll be there in 45 days when they come back for more.
Right. And even things that we've done in the past is, sometimes the price is inflated on Amazon. So you can buy it and at the current sale price, make a 500% return or something crazy. So we'll drop the price dramatically back to what it should be, and then those sales pick up. So that's just one example of many where you can influence, not just going off of sales ranks. So I don't know if complaint is the right word, but just questions that people will ask is, shouldn't you go off of more than just sales rank when making a buying decision? Yes, you should. So that's, however, this does expedite the process very much so, because sales ranks are starting point.
Right. And you'll see on the app too, it does provide direct links to some of the other information that we use, like Keepa and some of the other websites, if you like Camel. So you can look further into, the history of a product, sales and rank history. But also the nice thing I like also about all these parameters, these categories, and these tiers, you can add as many tiers as you want in, so you can kind of hone it in, specialize it to your company's, exactly the way you want to do it. And then, of course, you can change these things at any time and for different reasons. We're going to adjust all of this for the holidays, for Q4. When we start shopping, in August, I'm going to change all of those, and we're going to loosen up some things, request some different, so there's different reasons to change different things. Or if you're going into specific sales or specific liquidations, you could just change that kind of stuff on the fly for a weekend if you needed to, for all your team members or whatever you want to do.
And when you say change it, what you would do for something like Q4 is you would be raising your sales ranks and lower it, because the sales velocity increases a lot during Q4, and possibly lowering your ROI just because the sales rank or the sell-through rate is just so much faster.
Yeah, exactly. And then that might be category specific and things like that.
Yeah, so category of toy, you're probably gonna adjust. What is it? 3 weeks out of the year, 4 weeks out of the year. It's like all toy companies make their money. So the other tiers that he's talking about. So what I just showed you back here, these are the different tiers. Okay, so anywhere between 20 and 50,000, it needs to be at least 100% ROI. Between 50 and 100,000, it needs to be 150% ROI, so on and so forth. So some additional tiers that you can add are, what he was saying per category is you can reject if it's sold by Amazon at a certain tier. So like maybe your higher ranks or your lower ranks, you don't want to compete with Amazon. Maximum number of sellers. If you don't want to compete with more than 5 sellers, then you can adjust that as well. Tier minimum profit as well. So if you say, well, normally I want a minimum of 6, but in this category I'll take a minimum of 4 because of the little prep that we have to do, or whatever. So like maybe in home and kitchen, you might say, well, look, if it's a glass item, we need that minimum profit to be a certain amount. Or if it's, apparel, you have to polybag it, you might want that to be higher. So it all depends on those specific scenarios. And alternate ROI, what this means is that, so our current settings in this tier are 20,000 and 70% ROI. So you could take a 50% ROI if your minimum profit is $10. So what that means is currently the minimum profit is 6, but I'll take a lesser ROI because the profit is higher.
Right.
So that kind of explains for itself. So you could take something, you could go as low as 40% if you wanted to, whatever you so desire and whatever you're comfortable with, because you have that higher dollar amount.
Right.
And so this would override.
Right. I never use that, but I'm seeing that now and thinking already like, well, maybe for shoes, if I can do $20 a pop, I'll take 50% ROI on
Yeah.
like that. So.
Yeah, in sports and outdoors, with clothing, and even in beauty. So you can add all these alternate ROIs that will override those minimum dollar amounts that you have set. And again, all this comes into play in the app. So one more thing, and then we're going to open up the app. You can also create shopping lists in Scan Genie in the app, and we're going to show you how to do that here in a minute. You're probably like, just open up the app by now. But what we'll do, I'm just going to show you a little example here, is you just go to whatever dates that reports were created. You're going to hit export and open up that shopping list. And so for this one, I actually got 2 that were open here. We'll just close that one. So what it shows you is the ASIN, the time of purchase, or the time that it was created, the store that it was bought at, the purchase price. I'm sorry, so this would be the sticker price that it was bought at. So when they say sticker price, they mean the price on the sticker of the item you bought. The quantity purchased, so if you bought 3 or 5, you would throw that in there. If there was a UPC code, it would be showing that. The team member that
be inputting on through the app just as you're shopping.
Right.
Right.
And it also says who created the buy list, the title of the product, and then the new and the used sale prices. So without further ado, let's show the app. So I'm going to share my screen. All right, there we go. Awesome. You can hear me okay still?
Yep.
All right, cool. Let me stop that video so you don't see my head keep looking down. All right, so let me go back to search. So this is what the app looks like when you first pull it up. It is very, very basic, where you have the search bar at the top, the history, the settings. So I'm just going to run through it really quick. So if I'm going to search something or scan it, you literally hit search. I'm sorry. Can I move that around? Can you see that little thing right there?
Yep.
That's okay. So I'm going to go back. You're going to hit scan because you couldn't see that down there. I have an Android, by the way. I used to have an iPhone, switched. I'm probably going to switch back. So this is going to be different for you iPhone users. But you hit scan, and the scanning, what's it called, app, I guess, that's in this is really fast.
Oh, it's really fast.
Much faster than Seller Central or anything else. So that's
great. Yeah.
to show it on again, that's scanning a barcode. And then if you want to manually search something, you can type it in right here. So one thing about this app, and Scoutify is the same way, is that if you type something in, it's only going to give you 10 results. If you type the product, if you're going to search for something and you type it in the Amazon Seller Central app, it's going to give you all of the results. So that's if you're really trying to dig for something. So that is how that works. And then the history. This is a really cool part.
So this is what would pop up if you would scan the bottom of that box.
Yeah, and I'm not sure why it should be giving me. There we go. That's what I wanted. All right, so whenever you pull up the history tab, it's going to show you the data you're looking at. So we got the title, the toy, the category that it's in, the sales rank, who bought it or who scanned it, and then the date that they scanned it. So you can actually stalk all your shoppers and be like, okay, who was out scanning today? How long were they scanning for? That kind of stuff. Not that you want to stalk them, but just you can see if you're trying to train somebody and you see them scanning a bunch of nonsense, and you're like, why would you even pick that up? You can say, hey, you don't need to be scanning those things. Or you don't need to be.
We see your name on here. Is there a bunch of nonsense?
Yeah, there is. Oh, sorry, somebody's trying to call me right now. So let's go ahead and pull this up. All right, so for this toy right here, it's telling me that I need to buy it at $4.52 in order to get a 75% ROI. So when you first scan something, if it's a product that they're saying, hey, this does meet the minimum profit percentages, and this is actually on my old settings. So I think I had a minimum profit of like $3. But we quickly saw that that wasn't helpful. So that's why it's giving us that buy at price. So if it was a minimum profit of $6, it'd be telling you to buy it at $1.91, and I'll tell you how I'm gathering that. So it's saying to buy it at $4.52 to get a 75% return on the investment. So I would then look at the sticker price of this product, and if it said $5, I wouldn't buy it because it's over the amount that I should be buying it at. If it says $4, then it's 52 cents below what the recommendation price is, and then I would buy it. Let's say I was buying 10 of these, then I could click that. I just click the green bar right there that said the buy at price. I could buy 10 of them. Let's say I bought them at $4, and I bought them from Walgreens. And my profit share percentage is 100% because I'm the owner of the business. And then I hit save. And so that just added to that buy list that is on the prior screen where I was looking at that Excel sheet. So I could
shows the cart now too.
Yeah. So it shows that I threw these in the cart. And so we also see a quick snapshot of Keepa down there. That's just a 3-month graph. So you can actually see on this product, looks like the price rose, and so the sales rank is going up. So the current list price on the bottom left there, where it says $13.40, that is that's the current buy box price. The gross is your amount of money that you get after Amazon's fees, and then the minimum profit is the amount of profit that you need to get in order to have a 75% ROI. And then there's the minimum ROI right there. And then there's your ASIN down at the bottom. So you can, if you want, you can copy paste this ASIN. Let's say you wanted to open it up into the How Many app, then you could do that from there. So let's look at a few other features. If you tap the bar right there, and again, I know this looks different on the iPhone, you can look at used condition. If you're garage sailing or whatever, you find this used, you can do that. If you want to go straight to Amazon, you would click Amazon right there. If you want to look at just the Prime sellers, you could click Prime, Camel, 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 Keepa, and then restrictions. Probably the most important one out of these, I'm saying most important, is restrictions. That's something that I have my shopper check every single product on, especially for those of you doing kind of mixed brands like Nike and Under Armour, where all of those are kind of hit and miss. So you can hit restrictions, and what it's going to do is take you right to Seller Central. And what you want to see over here on the left is that you can see it, sell it in new condition. So this is new and collectible, and so you want to see that sell yours. So one cool thing is that if you are restricted from it, you can quickly apply while you're out in the store. Jake, I don't know if you've ever done that.
Yeah, actually just did it today.
Did you?
and got approved, yeah.
Yeah, so you'll see, okay, great, I'm approved, and then go straight from there. If you want to go to Amazon.com, then you can go straight there. This particular link is really helpful. Oh, my internet is struggling. This particular link is really helpful if you're doing apparel with variations. Let's say you've got a shirt that you're about to buy and you have sizes from small to extra large, but you don't want to scan small to extra large. You can just go to the Amazon link and look at all the variations they have and quickly look at what is the small, large, extra large, whatever, selling for. And if they're all selling at or above the current sale price that you scanned, then you can throw it in your cart. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So we can, again, quickly see the app. If you want to see the number of sellers, then you can look at the number of sellers that are on there and see all that kind of stuff. And my phone is just like, it's crying.
Because it's an Android.
I knew that was coming. I'm just going to go back.
40 bugs.
Yeah, I probably do. No, it's because the 64 gigs on this phone are almost filled up and I need to clear it out. All right, so let's go to Prime. Just show you what that looks like really quick. Probably not. I guess it's not going to show you. It's not. All right, never mind then.
The only things I ever use there, obviously restrictions, and then Keepa, I'll go for deeper information, especially if I'm buying in quantity.
I'm going to pause the recording really quick. All right, so we had to pause the recording there for a moment. So this item, there's a lot of different things that you'll get whenever you're out scanning. So this is one of them. When you see that big red bar, rank is too high or the product is unavailable. So this is a rank of 1.3 million in home. So again, when I was talking about those percentages, you see 1.3 million / 1.52%. If you said, oh, well, I'll just sell them the bottom 3% across every category, that's really silly because 3% in home and kitchen is much different than 3% in arts and crafts.
Right.
Or whatever. So really that Keepa chart is your information, that one of the biggest pieces right there. So let's look at a few others here that we scanned. So we're looking at some Pioneer Woman stuff. Again, rank is too high.
During the holidays, Pioneer Woman.
Oh yes, absolutely. The trick is finding it.
Yeah.
So that's about it at the moment. So that's just stuff that I've been scanning. And then if I look at the team, get that to load. So Randy was out scanning a few things.
And Kevin, I saw.
Kevin. So let's see. This is a board game, so the rank was too high on that. So I know Randy has this little store next to him that he likes to shop at. So again, so Randy scanned this. If it would have been below 1865, he would have bought that toy.
Yep.
Let's see if we can find something that says like product not found.
Well, it wouldn't.
I guess it wouldn't capture it, would it?
Yeah, it wouldn't, because it'll basically just have a product not found and not show anything. If the rank is 0, you might find something that comes up on your Amazon app, but Genie isn't going to show a product that's never had a sale.
Right, that's true. And this is another one here, sold by Amazon. So if you have that parameter set in there, again, these are older parameters in there. So when it says that and your shopper knows to not compete with Amazon, then they won't right there. But if you do, then you'll go ahead and compete with them.
Yeah, that won't come up if you don't have that clicked, that little box checked. It won't.
Correct.
About it. Yep.
Yep. So let's just keep seeing rank is too high. I think that's about all we're going to get is rank is too high or Amazon sells it. So just to let you know too, on variations with Keepa, a lot of times you're not going to really get any data on apparel. I think I actually noticed that they were starting to track it a little bit. Like you'll see on that Keepa chart, there's a little green line. But if you wanted to really check Keepa, again, you could just come right here and click Keepa, and it'll pull it up. And then you can look at further data on Keepa. But that's about it. So Debbie's been scanning a lot of shoes. Lots of Nikes. So again, and then you can also see too, like you'll see that time right there where it says 11:41, 11:43. You can actually see how many units she scans in a minute. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So she got 4 in there at that minute. So you can even, if you want to get that detailed with it. I'm not that big of a warrior with that stuff. So that is it. I'm going to stop the share here. Say hello again. Jake, did you go away?
Yes, but
that is it. Is there anything else that you think you want to add to it?
No, I think we just wanted to get a video in here for you guys that was kind of basic. I know we kind of can go off on tangents because we're good at doing that, but this might pose a lot more questions for people. Obviously, post them specifically to this, and we'll be happy to answer them.
Yes.
We use these apps all the time. Our shoppers use them all the time. This one in particular, like Paul said, and just to emphasize in the beginning, it makes adding shoppers to your team very easy. I mean, my wife, I have the app on her phone because if she's ever out just wherever and she comes across something that she thinks may be a good deal, she'll scan it real quick.
Yeah.
I might tell her, hey, yeah, grab all those or whatever. So you really can hand it to anybody and teach anyone to shop. And literally, like Paul said, I mean, they can become a pretty good shopper within a few hours. And they can at least be texting you ASINs within minutes of learning how to scan with the app. So
yeah, and you can even, what's really cool about it too is that you can even pull up their stuff. Like if they're out shopping and they text you and say, check out this ASIN, or they can even send you a title, well, you can go in to the team section of the app and pull up all the data. You don't have to copy paste and all that kind of stuff. You can just pull up their stuff and quickly and just say, look at Keepa, because they aren't going to have all that Keepa knowledge in the beginning. And maybe you don't want them to in the beginning, because that is so much to think about. And just to bring it up to speed, if you've ever trained a shopper without Genie, you know how daunting of a task that is to get somebody up to speed that's not familiar with Amazon, because it's sales ranks and categories and parameters and all that. And so it's like having the parameters on the back end. You don't have to think about that. That doesn't take up brain space anymore. So there's a lot to that. And then there's, like Jake said, tangents that we could go off on Amazon Seller app, and Scoutify, and how many, and other apps out there that are helpful.
The other thing I think too that we didn't go over as much, but there's some simple little settings in there. Like if you're walking into a sale or something like that, you can automatically input, oh, this is a 40% off liquidation. So I can just put in 40% and it's automatically going to account for that. And that's all built into the app. So it's just a nice little handy extra thing that, saves you time while you're in there shopping. You're going to be able to scan that many more items because you're not having to do the math every time. And some of us are better or worse at doing math than others. So if we can just take that factor out of it, it's already there. He's showing you right there. It's built in. It's like, okay, I know my tax rate. I'm going to put it in 10%. The discount at this sale is 70% off everything in the store. So boom, turned on. You can turn it on, turn it off real quick. Yep. And then it's already scanning with all of that pricing in mind. So it really it does all the calculations for you.
Yeah, and that's probably one of the best features on the app too.
Yeah, it gives you that simple green light, red light. And that's kind of how I teach a new shopper is, obviously I want them to think proactively, get creative with it and know what they're buying and learn all that. But the foundation of scanning is very simple and easy for anybody to pick up and use.
Yes, I'm about to see.
Bless you.
Hopefully that wasn't too loud. Sorry. All right. Well, that is it. Thank y'all for watching. And if you have any questions, just let us know.